Welcome everyone to the SNN Network Australia virtual event. I'd like to introduce our next presentation for the day. On behalf of Theta Gold Mines, publicly traded company, the symbols are TGM on the ASX and TGMGF on the OTCQB. Chairman Bill Guy. Bill, take it away.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone coming today. I just want to start off with a little bit of news. Zach's over there in the US has just started covering Theta Gold Mines. They've set a target price of 60 cents per share US, which is obviously great news for the shareholders. You know, it's about 82 cents Australian, so great news and great coverage from them. So we thank Zach for that. Just as we go through the presentation today, what I really want people just to think about a couple of points. Theta Gold Mines has 6 million ounces under management. You know, what does that 6 million ounces mean? It means ranked amongst our peers, we rank number 1 as the largest undeveloped gold resource on the ASX, not controlled by a major. It means we have our own Goldfields, and we're going to talk about 4 stages today. But even stage 1 has an EBITDA of about 30 million US a year. Market's currently giving 20x for revenue. So if the market gives us 20x for revenue, there's a $500 million company in the making here. So I think there's a very good reason to listen to the presentation today. This is our disclaimer page. You guys can read that at your leisure. So it's just looking at the assets. So there's 6 million ounces under management, 44 million tons at 4.8 grams. It's a good grade. There's 1.3 million tons of open pit material, 4.5 million ounces of underground material available to us. We control the Eastern Transvaal Goldfield there in South Africa. So dominantly most of the work mining was done before World War II. And sort of what does that mean? That means we have over 43 historical gold mines under management, and they've experienced very little modern exploration. So mining came to a stop around here and around World War II, like we said. It's already been discovered historically 6.7 million ounces. I like to think of South Africa as the home of gold. It's produced more than 50% of the world's gold. You know, Theta has a stated goal of producing 160,000 kilo ounces, and it's targeting a plan over the next sort of 4 to 5 years. So if we just look at some of our neighbours here, we've got Westwoods over here on the left-hand side of the page. They recently had a great run with their permitting and resource upgrade news. They've nearly gone from about 2 cents to 10 cents, so they've had a great run there. On the right-hand side, we've got Pan Africa. That's at about 150 km to the south of us. They're listed in London. They've got a market cap of about 600 million Aussie, 436 million US. They've got a mixture of mines, deep, underground, and shallow mines. But for me, the best comparison is DRD. DRD is listed on the New York Exchange. It's got a market capitalization of about $1 billion US, and is a gold surface miner in South Africa. And that's exactly what we want to be. So we can see by targeting our 160,000 ounces a year, that's a great model for the board to follow, and it gives the investors a very clear model to look at there in the US. So I guess the question always asked, you know, who are we? Me and Tim Birkin used to work together at Jupiter Mines. Jupiter Mines was controlled by the Pallinghurst Group. It was run by the former chairman of BHP Billiton, Brian Gilmanson. So me and Tim have a strong relationship through that. Effectively, it's a very well-balanced board. We've got me, a geologist. We've got a banker with Ben. We've got a mining engineer with Rob. We've got finance guys with Richie. And we've got 2 fund managers, Brett and Simon. So the board has great balance. We've got 458 million shares on issue. We've recently had 33 million options expire, so that gives clear headway for the share price to accentuate. The top 10 hold 71% of the company, so the stock's very tightly held. directors and management hold 10%. So this is a very old goldfield, an exciting goldfield. If you think about Kirkland Lake, it went down to Victoria there. Goldfield in Australia, no one wanted, brought modern technology, new ideas, and turned it into a modern day Australian gold rush. And we want to do the same thing down here. Our goldfield was discovered in 1873 by Alex Wilbur Patterson, who was an Australian. We can see here underneath at the bottom picture the mining method dominated during that mining era. Two guys and some donkeys. Effectively, these cocoa pans would put down these shallow stopes and they transport the gold out of it. This is very important because when you think about today's terms, we've got this modern mining equipment that's never been applied to this gold field. And we're going to pick up a few points on that on the next slide. So some gold fields just ran out of gold. So what's left of Theta? We know the Betamine, they were targeting 18 grams or half an ounce gold material. And then they got very upset when they got down to 6.2 grams. So mining tended to stop about this era. In the 1950s there, it was nearly all over. Really the key thing here for me is the production rate. When we look at the Bellhook mine, they're only getting 5 meters of development per month on their 15-meter stope faces, which means they're only delivering about 85 tons to their mill. So you can't live on that. That production is too low. With modern mechanized mining, we know we can get nearly 20 meters a month. That would take us up to about 630 tons of face. So bringing in some new mining ideas and equipment, we can really push up that production rate. So this field didn't die because it didn't have gold. It died because the production rates just became too low. So there in South Africa, we've got our execution team. Recently, we hired Mr. Murrell and Jark are both ex-Harmony with over 14 years with Harmony, worked on some of Harmony's biggest projects there in South Africa, and Mithil will be leading the execution team to success. So we've got a lot of faith in Mithil. He's very dynamic and very corporate. Just in terms of recent updates, this month, the Department of Mines, Minerals and Resources in South Africa has basically agreed to expedite our permitting process. We're expecting an answer to that in November, so I was very pleased to see the Mines Department supporting our EIA process. It's very much in line with the South African government's stated goal of going mining post-COVID. So the President of South Africa now is travelling around the different markets of the world looking for capital, so South Africa can go mining again. So any new regulations or policies that affect mining to the shareholders will be in line to benefit from there in South Africa. We're currently in funding negotiations with an EPC plant builder. That plant builder will fund most of the plant build by putting it on their book. Post the successful completion of those negotiations, we'll look at detail engineering for the CIL plant. We'll refurbish the ball mill. And we also have indicative term sheet from a local sovereign fund in progress as well. For me, one of the most exciting things is the underground work the guys are working on now. Miff and Jark are down there. I have 2 kids in a candy store having a great time. There's nearly 100 kilometres of underground workings down there. They began a bulk sampling process for metallurgy. There are sort of 50 kilo samples, large scale samples. There'll be over 450 kilos of samples collected through that process. And that'll give us a sense of metallurgy for the underground. We've been doing mine survey work down there as well. But also what Jark and Mithil are really doing is bringing that modern ideas and new technology to the field, being harder miners there. And they're looking at the different mining methods to best extract the underground gold. They've also recently completed some engineering drilling. They've done engineer drilling at Bellhook already. Frankfurt. That's gone very well. And all this data will go into a PFS. That PFS is expected to come out first quarter 2021. And through that process, there'll be an asset optimization process, which will tell us which mining operations we should bring online first, what's the best way to get out the gold, which is the best mining method. So that's very exciting for those guys down there on site. Here's our plant. So the plant already exists. We already have a fully permitted plant footprint and tailings facility. The idea is that the new CIL plant will go in that first box you see there. We've already delivered a 1.2 megaton mill to site. So even though our initial production rate is 600,000 tonnes per year, we can easily double that capacity by putting in a new CIL train to go with the existing CIL train. We're also looking at building a bulk sampling plant to do the metallurgy test work for the underground samples. You know, there's 150 years of infrastructure here already, roads, electricity, water. So there's huge capital savings here with what already exists on the ground today. The company owns houses and all sorts of things down there. But this slide, we just wanted to give you guys a sense of where the mines are located, how the tenements sort of sit, and how it all comes together. So we have two packages of tenements. The main package is called the Northern Tenement, and the Southern package is called Sabi. So really, most of the action is down here in the central area. You'll see a lot of points into that central area. The plant sits in that area. So stage one is in that area. The first 234,000 ounces comes out of that area under MR83. MR83 is there in the purple, and in the blue we have MR341. Now, why this is important, in South Africa you have to permit each mining lease individually. So even though our ore body crosses those mining leases, we have to permit each mining lease separately. So when we move into stage 2, MR341, there's another 500,000 ounces available there from conversion into a mining reserve. It's already in third status. When we go down to stage 3 in the south, you'll see the southern section there called Sabi. So the Sabi Goldfield hosts Roofontein. Roofontein has 800,000 ounces down there at 8.5 grams. So that's a great stage 3 for us. And then we have to come back to the central area to Beta. Beta is less than 2 kilometres from the plant. And it's got 1.1 million ounces of 6 grams available there as well. So most of the action takes place in that central area near the processing plant, so it's all nice and confined and easy to manage. But if we just look at the package in general itself, we've got 62,000 hectares under management. And you'll see these little dots. If you look up to the north on the top of the map, you'll see a thing called Valhall. You'll see that little red dot there. That little dot is over 3.5 kilometres long. So this is a massive gold system. So when you look at those little dots, you have to sort of think about what they mean as well. We come down to the Frankfurt mine. Frankfurt was mined back in the 2000s by a company called Zimmer and Jack. Then we come further south back to the central processing area. There's Kluisdruck Morgensen. So we're not talking about Valhall today. We're not talking about Kluisdruck Morgensen today. We're not talking about Frankfurt today. And when we come further to the south, we'll see a thing called Glen Zeidenberg in the Sabi field. Glen Zeidenberg was actually the largest mine in the district to produce 34 tonnes of gold. Just another little dot on the map. But all we're really trying to show with these different mining operations is the whole pipeline of projects for us to tap into after stages 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's a massive amount of potential in this field that already exists. Just in terms of stage 1, we completed a feasibility study there in May 2019. We also completed an optimization study as well. That optimization study took our mine life up to about 6.5 years with 230,000 ounces available to us. It's a very low capex, high margin project. So we'll just have a look at some of the exciting numbers. The internal rate of return is 157%, a great number. We've got 259,000 ounces in the mine plan. We've got a very short payback period of just 6 months. We've got an all-in sustaining cost of $822. So we know we can mine the gold cost effectively, and every ounce we find is a good ounce. But more importantly for the investor is probably the cash. We see our EBITDA there of 181 million. That gives us about, like we said, about 30 million US a year. and 20x, $500 million company in the market. So even in stage one, we can potentially target a $500,000 market capitalization. This slide is just to give you guys an overview of geology and how things sit. So we'll just look at the right-hand side image first on top. You can see the little brown center there. That's actually the plant. And you'll see the little blue lines, sort of squiggly lines, very close to that MR341, MR83 boundary. That's the top one is the Theta open pit. You come down a little bit lower down the hill, we come to the Browns Hill. And we come to the other side, we've got Columbia Hill. And on green, the green lines are actually the projection of the old stopes of the Beta underground project. So it's all very, stages 1, 2, and 4 are very close together there. But for me, the amazing thing is the left-hand side image. When you think about this field, this is a large sedimentary field. It's very similar to a Carlin system in the sense of geometry and style and host rock. We can see there that there's over 6 kilometres of reef system we're tapping into here. So sometimes it's confusing with all the different names, but in reality, it's just one big reef plain. It's actually quite simple. So if the top of the reef cuts through the top of the hill, so we have our shallow open cut mines, and as we go down deeper, we get into the underground mining. Now, while we talk about 6 million ounces a day, none of that ounces is below 350 metres below surface. It's all shallow gold, and these are accessible through stopes and open pit mining. If we look at the bottom image, this just gives you a sense of where we are in terms of drilling. We completed 20,000 metres of drilling over the last sort of 18 months. We've got, you can see the green areas are indicated, which can go into a mining reserve, and we can see the blue areas which are inferred. If we look on 341, we'll see that 500,000 ounces of blue area there, so that's still inferred. With further drilling, we'll bring that out to indicate it into a mining reserve. Probably look at doing that sort of 2021. So just in terms of underground with engineering drilling, we can see on the left-hand side picture there that the core samples are very competent and stable, and we have great geology here for underground mining. Some of these stopes are stood up for 150 years, so you know the ground's very easily accessible for underground mining. The really idea is to bring that Kirkland Lake story to it. Bringing new modern mining methods will help maximise our grade and reduce our dilution. By bringing modern gold processing, we'll recover more of that gold. And by using modern mine planning, we can really increase those production rates. And really through the feasibility study through this year and to the next quarter, that's what the guys will be working on. All these things to maximise profit for the shareholders. There's 4.5 million ounces available of underground material, or part of that 6 million. And there's already nearly 1 million ounces in indicated. So there's a lot of cost savings for us going underground as well. So the other question is, okay, Bill, you've got the gold out of the ground, you've got your doré bar there at the plant, so what happens? The RAM refinery is one of the largest refineries in Africa, in the African continent. It's one of the oldest. It's part of the London bullion market. So it's got very stable links there in London. It's never failed to deliver. The helicopter lands on site. We put our doré bars in the RAND helicopter. At that point, RAND Refineries owns that gold and are responsible for it and insure it. And they take a 2-hour helicopter ride to Joburg, to their refinery. 24 hours later, we get paid in US dollars. So the gold, very secure delivery system. RAND Refineries takes gold from across the African continent, including West Africa. Just in terms of this, it's just the company structure, just to give people a sense how the company structure looks. We've got the top co there, listed on the ASX and the OTC. Theta Gold Mines, it owns Theta Gold South Africa, 100%. Theta Gold South Africa owns TGME, Transvaal Gold Mining Estates, the oldest incorporated gold mining company in South Africa, which hosts most of the assets. and we own 76% of that. The other 26% is held by different shareholders. At Theta, we're very big into ESG, so we want to see the locals and the community benefit from this process. So that 26% is held by employees under a trust system. We've got an environmental sustainability trust as well. So, and we've also got local landowners and local entrepreneurs. So 26% of this project is directly injected into the local communities. So this is not a free carry. They're equity contributing stakes, and they have to contribute to the process. These are our JORC tables. The JORC tables are done independently by a company called Minexcon out of South Africa there. The Minexcon guys have worked all around the world. So a lot of experience. One of them has worked in Australia so much, has an Australian wife. They're very similar system to the Canadian system, to the South African system. They're virtually all interchangeable, and each geological society recognises the JORC code. So there's no issue with that. Let's see a bit more. Really, for me, I'm just running out of time here a little bit. So, to me, Theta has a great track record, and this is our calling card, really. So, one of the things you always ask yourself as an investor, what is the company going to do with the money and how are they going to spend it? Theta has, through its history in the last 2-3 years since I've been here, we've doubled the mineral resource from 3 million to 6 million. We've gone about it in a very systematic way. We did some drilling back in 2018. We hit some very high-grade ore, 126 grams per tonne. We did more drilling. We updated the resource to 5.8 million. We did more drilling, more exploration. We went into a scoping study phase. From that scoping study phase, we did more work. We went into a feasibility stage with more detailed mine engineering and drilling, etc. We then went into a mine optimization process. We bought a mill because we were very confident we were going mining here. That mill sitting on site, the 1.2 megaton mill we talked about. We also went to a top-tier exploration company in Western Australia called CSA. CSA I've worked with them many times, and they developed a mineral systemization model for here. So the one thing we do have here is a very large gold system, but it doesn't really have a name, and it's not totally well understood yet. We know the gold is delivered from the bushveld, the world's largest laid igneous intrusion, one of the great metallogenic provinces on Earth, so we have pretty much the best regional geology in the world. But it's still not that well understood, and by us processing and going through these processes and putting everything in 3D and collecting more data, that'll allow us to find more gold. As part of the mining, we selected Digman as our preferred mining contractor. Digman's worked in Southern Africa on 2 mines already. He's completed billions of US dollars of work in South Africa on roads, buildings, stadiums, does lots of earthwork there in South Africa, so they're a great partner for us. So what the shareholder can take away from this is a staged, logical process with each process building on the other process, and the main thing is the money is going in the ground. So why invest in Theta? We have great discovery costs, less than $12 US an ounce.
May I have your attention, please?
All right,
Emergency refers to gave up and continue to give their lives to protect our way of living. At 11 would all employees please observe a 1-minute silence?
Sorry about that. So we're transitioning from explorer to producer in 2021, so it's very exciting. We've produced gold for less than half the gold price, and we've got a multi-million ounce gold for the year with a lot of potential. In terms of replacement costs, 6 million ounces times 45 globally costs about $45 US to discover gold now. So 6 million times 45 gives you a very large number. The replacement costs of all those underground mine workings, nearly 100 kilometres, the permanent plant, the tailings man, the power, the water, the building, etc. Would be many hundreds of millions of dollars. And for me, the really key feature of Theta is it controls a large pregnant asset. And what do I mean by that? If you look back through history, at successful mining companies like BHP, Gold Road, etc., there was always that large key resource that got the company up and going. And I really feel we're at an exciting stage here at Theta with our gold field under this many that we're going to bring gold into 2021. So I'd just like to thank everyone today. I'll just see if I can get some of these questions up. If anyone's got a question, I'll answer them now. Okay, someone's asked me, sorry, with the ZACs, someone's asked me about ZACs. Now, ZACs, that coverage has just come out today. Got it just when I was on the train. ZACs did not let us know when they were going to release it. It's a very independent process, so we have put it on our website. I haven't had a chance to totally read it all yet. But yeah, so it basically came out your time or our night time. But I think the main thing for us was the report's quite detailed. It explains a lot about the company. It gives a very good, simple summary of where Theta is. And the guy who wrote it actually had a very good understanding of South Africa and mining. So I was very pleased with the report, even though we had very little input into it. Okay, the PFS. Someone's asked who's doing the PFS. Now, the PFS is being done by a combination of us and the NextCon. The NextCon has worked on this project over 14 years now. Like I said, NextCon is an independent mining consulting firm. They work for Vale. They work for some of the bigger mining houses there in South Africa. So they really have a depth of knowledge here. And with Jark and Midford, both being ex-Harmony and Harden Miners, we think we have a great team there to get that PFS done. And we're expecting new ideas and new concepts to really drive the value for that underground material as well. And, so far the work's been very rewarding. Someone else has asked, what happens after 6 years of mine life? That's a very good question because this is a stage project. So stage 1 will start. We've already started looking at permitting stage 2. We expect stage 2 to be permitted sort of year 1, year 2 into production. So at that point, we bring on that other 500,000 third ounces. We double the mine life. So then we get up to 11.5 years. There's also around second, third year, we're bringing on the underground. 1.1 million ounces there at Beta to come online. And we've got 800,000 there at, Riffontein. And then we've got other projects to look at, Bauhoek, Frankfurt, Linz. Linz is actually the biggest. It's on the book for 1.16 million. So I don't really see this project ending in the next 30 years, to be honest, in terms of underground resources. The big project, there's a lot of reef claims to mine, a long way to go. But what we're really just trying to do in the first instance, get cash flow positive, and then we'll go exploring and developing and making it bigger and bigger and bigger. That's really the idea. So what is the news flow going forward? So very shortly we'll be announcing, talking about funding. We're also expecting permitting the end of this month from the DMRE from South Africa. We're going to approve our amended process to go and pit mining for MR83. We're expecting to have news about the underground in terms of metallurgy, mining method, and production. Sorry about that. And really, by Q1, we'll have a PFS. We'll also, as part of that PFS process, be announcing increases in the mining reserve as well. So there's a lot of positive news flow coming out of Theta. And if you look at Theta's track record, it basically produces one significant release per month. So if you look at the last 2 years on that presentation at the back, you'll see there's about 23, 24 releases over a 24-month period. So we never leave our shareholders hanging for news. The money always goes in the ground, and we always get on with the job. So I think that's actually for questions for the moment. I'd like to thank everyone for those questions. We'll probably go back to Rob now, and that'll be it from me. So thank you for listening. All you guys should read that ZAC report. It gives a very simple, biased story.
as we who are left grow old. Ages will not weary.
I think I'll hang up now. Sorry about that.
At the going down of the sun, and in the morning we shall remember them. Lest we forget.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry about the noise. Cheers for that.